In this video, I'm going to take you through 5 mistakes you do not want to be making ahead of your CIMA operational case study examination for the November 2024 and February 2025 sitting. My name is James, welcome to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe for all of my free CIMA content on here, because I'm going to take you through my exclusive notes that you can see on the screen. If you'd like access to these notes, just click the link in the description below. They're definitely going to help you to pass with all of my insights. Along with, I'm delighted to say I'm also affiliated with Astranti. You can click the links down below in the description of this video again as well, where we've got mock papers, free actual ebooks on there, all on a money-back guaranteed basis. And as always, for pure transparency on the channel, if you were to purchase anything using the links below, I'd be entitled to a small commission which helps to run the YouTube channel. So as always, a massive thank you for all of your support, and we're going to get stuck into it straight away now with our area of mistake number 1, which is not having a clear picture of the scenario, what's been going on, geographically where it's been based. I can see the writing on the wall here. Now, first of all, let's set the foundations just to make sure that you are comfortable if you've already had a read through the actual pre-scene notes, because on the exam day, you have not got time. Top right, we've got the market for backpacks. This is the global market on there. And the global market, we've got North America, Europe, and Asia on there. Now, North America actually represents 33.2% of the global market, which is the largest one on there. And the key thing is that what we actually have for our company on here, I'll just bring you back up to the top for back office. It is based in a country called Holland, H and then land on there. It's in green, as you can see on the screen. It's based in Western Europe, and it has the currency of H dollars on there. So it's just so that you can put it in perspective that the company itself is only in Europe on there. That is where it's geographically based. And in terms of the actual sales, where they actually generate them around the world, the majority are all in Europe. So when we're talking about this, we need to be referring to the sales and marketing director in terms of Jem Rossi on there. Again, this is where you can apply your actual knowledge of the pre-scene materials. This is what you're going to be needing to do when it comes to the exam day. And as I come down to some of the other details on here, I've just put it so you can see it on the side. 60% on the left-hand side for the sales channels of back office's revenue is actually from the actual retail accounts, whereas we only have 40% of revenue from the website. But of those sales, this is the key bit, where you can see here, key paragraph to note down there on the left-hand side. Currently, 70% of back office's sales are to customers in Holland. So that's where the actual products are actually purchased and made. And just so you're aware, competitors actually get their products made out in Asia because it's a lot cheaper on there. So what we're saying here is back office make and produce their products in Holland. The majority of their sales to customers on their website and through retailers are in Holland. And then 25% of sales are to other countries in Europe. So in terms of scope for new markets on there, it's got massive amounts of potential for them to consider the Northern American markets. And you can see here from the production facility on the right hand side, in this it is a contrast to almost every other backpack brand which manufactures in Asia, where the production cost is relatively low. So this is where you could see on one side it being a unique selling point. We only make our stuff in Holland. The people of Holland really like it. However, from a costing perspective, again, they could easily throw it in on your case study exam day, link it back to the relevant management team who are accountable. But could we look at a strategic decision to start making our products cheaper overseas? So that is number 1 mistake. Make sure you have a clear picture. Who's accountable for what? Where is it actually being based? The currencies, locations, sales and productions, which I'll quickly run through. But if you download these notes, it takes you through in a lot more detail, and everything underlined in red are the key factors on there. Number 2, we come on to units now. Now, even as I've gone through this, making my notes on the train and around things in my world, I'm there going, oh my word, so many people are going to make small mistakes when it comes to the actual case study exam. So I'm coming back to those global markets because, as you can see on there, For the global market, this is where you've got to be so careful when it comes to your analysis. We're working in terms of billions, so that is 17.2 billion H dollars on there. And then the key thing here is, in 2024, you can see from my note on the top right hand side there, back office in 2024 for their revenue now, and this is for context about the actual opportunity of this marketplace, they turned over 16.1 million in 2024. So that just gives you some context as to the billions for the overall global industry, but they only turned over 16.1 million. Now that is one of the factors in terms of the units, which I know some people are definitely going to make some mistakes on. And there are other elements when it comes to the management accounting factors on here, where we're looking at the actual products themselves. So here we go on here. So I'll put it on the left hand side. This is the revenue figure where I've just pulled the $16.1 million from on there. Again, it's just so that you're aware, you can see the figures. And then when we come on to the actual office backpacks, for example, on the right hand side now, you've got volumes there. So this is units of actual product. And then we've got sales prices in terms of dollars. So again, just make sure when it comes to your analysis that you refer to the correct units as you're going through. Dollars, volume, millions, billions. It is going to be a mistake people are going to make when it comes to this case study exam. Number 3 now, an area where you're just going to throw away marks, and this is all about accountability and using the correct names of the individuals in charge of the area you're tested on in the requirement. In other words, on the exam day, for each of the 4 sections, when you get a question, you've got to say which area does it relate to in the business and who is accountable. So if it's me on the exam day and I read the first question that it's something to do with production, I'm going, right, I know that the actual senior management team is on here. I've highlighted on my notes Jack Lauren, and then the next key step that you're going to from there, and I'll show you in a second where it links into this, is from production, what are the niche areas like sewing, cutting, procurement, and those specific names that we need to be referring to when it comes to the requirement. Again, we've got the breakdown of the teams. You can see on the right hand side there for our example of production with Jack Lauren. You've got Luna, Gaia, Bianca, different areas, packing, final assembly. And as you come up and go through some of the notes, any of these names could be thrown at you, Prim, Cho, you can see all the different ones on here on the exam day, but you've got to work out where do they relate to. And the reason why I think this is going to be a mistake is when we look at the actual processes, so we've got the design and development process on the right hand side, you can see we've got prototype on there, we've got handover of factory production, and this is where even for prototype on the side there, Cho Wang is involved in terms of prototype. So I've just linked it back to page 13, as you can see here. Cho Wing on there is head of prototype. Might have to change that on the notes, but you get the gist on there for it. It's my typo fault for it. As we come on to the manufacturing process on there, we've got final assembly. Gaia's involved. Bianca's involved in sewing, cutting. And may I just note as well, whilst we're doing this on record, I'm not going to edit it all the way through. Well, I don't even edit the videos. But even if you make a small spelling mistake on a name, it doesn't make a difference. The market is wanting you to actually apply the name. They can understand where you're coming from. Refer to the area, in this case, manufacturing process. Be specific to cutting, sewing, final assembly, and apply the full name on there. Even if you make a small mistake, you'll be fine on there, even if you get an I mixed up with an A, should we say, for it. So that is actually taking us through accountability, the different people, who's it actually intended to do, and what's it all for. I would say from an exam technique point of view, if I was in your shoes, when you read the requirement, straight away think, which area of the business does it relate to, and go straight to those teams so you can work out the specific areas on there. Number 4 now, for the mistake I've got down on my list. Doing better than it actually portrays on here. And by doing better, I mean the actual business itself of back office. So I'm going to come down to the financials now, where when you read it through and you go through the actual meetings that they've had and the forecasts, you kind of get the impression that the directors are actually really worried about the products. They've had some failures in the past, they've got extra competition, they've got international markets as an opportunity, but it's also a threat that they're actually maybe having some of their market share taken off them. However, don't underestimate and forget the bottom line figures that you can just have in your arsenal going into your case study to say, well, if you look on the screen on the left-hand side, 2023 made a profit over $1 million. 2024 made a profit, increasing $1.5 million on there. Again, it's little things like that, just looking at the financials. If we go over to the total assets on the right-hand side, 17,341 in 2023, up to 17,837. In other words, in terms of the assets of the business, we are a growing company on that. These are positive aspects that you can talk about from a financial point of view, from a strategic point of view. The only issue that you will have seen in some of my other videos on this case study is the cash flow issue. Now, as we know, cash flow is the lifeblood of an organisation. You need it to pay for the operational side, the lighting, the wages, whatever it may be. And as you can see on the right hand side, in 2023 we had an overdraft of 345, and then in 2024 it is now in a positive cash and cash equivalents of 314. So again, a much better cash position, but I'd be also questioning and being really critical, applying my commercial acumen and saying, well, hang on a second, how did that come about? Are we going to have more information provided on the actual exam day? But it's definitely a point I'd be looking to refer to on there. So it's a real balance, but it's not all bad, I would say, on there. They've been pretty consistent with their borrowings, capital structure looks pretty reasonable. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's all bad, but you get the impression that it's a bit doom and gloom on there for you. So that's number 4, doing better than it actually portrays. And finally, mistake that so many students make all the time, especially when you have the exam day nerves. But I would say, number 5, expect for something to go wrong on the exam day involving back office on there. That is where you are going to be tested as to what would you do in this sort of situation in the real world. So you must have an in-depth knowledge of all the different preceding areas. And I'm just going to take you down to which, after I read it through and literally just before I press play on this video, I went, what is one of the areas that I look at? And I go, the tax regime at the end there. And the reason why I say that is because back office has been making profits for the last couple of years. They then refer to losses and other expenses not being allowed. So I'm thinking there to myself, maybe on the exam day you could get some donations or entertaining expenditure. There could be some losses from previous years. We might get, who knows, a group sort of situation thrown in there. Again, it's making sure that you're actually on the top of everything that could come off. And if you're sort of thinking of, well, what could this sort of relate to in terms of like a real life sort of example? If you have a Google on the actual brand called Osprey on there, again, they're a sort of bag manufacturer that I actually have one myself. Well, it's not mine. I borrow it off my sister when I go the odd travelling trip. But I had a look on their website. I mean, it does sort of give a sort of travel vibe, and then they're going into the sort of more sort of professional sort of thing now that you'll see it if you're going into the office. Lots of people sort of use Ospreys. And then really understanding the ranges that some of them are actually doing quite well. The office backpacks have a 53.7% gross profit margin. And that's the same with the everyday backpacks. Not making sure that you don't get overwhelmed by all the different variables. And this is where, just coming on to the final part now, is understanding the figures behind it and the sales price along with the volume, because some of the backpacks are designed to be more premium based, whereas others are designed to be more sort of like durable and more for different people. So again, I've just put it on the right hand side in purple on there. I've just put it on the total sales revenue bit. So you got 2,024 for Uffico, Capsulas 5,192, and Scrivania as well 5,480. So again, you've got to say to yourself, again, all of these are reference for you to have a look at. Some are doing better than others. Maybe some of your advice would be, why don't we just stick to what we're good at and look at those global markets and try and outreach into those. But again, it's just area number 5, expect for something to go wrong. maybe to do with costing. They talk about on here the actual sourcing of the actual materials. There's a wide variety, but the final thing I just want to end this recording on is you have not got time to go back through all of these notes on here on the actual case study exam day. You've got to know it like the back of your hand, and that's why you've got the notes on here. All the key factors are underlined in red for you to check out. It could be the difference in saving you that bit of time to get you enough to pass your case study exam. So a massive thank you for getting you this far in the video. Be sure to give it a like, feel free to share it with any friends. If you'd like access to these pre-seen exclusive notes, just click the link in the description below, and I'll put another video up at the top now for you to click, and I'll see you on the other side to get you that one step closer to passing your case study exam. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.